It's been a hell of a week, hasn't it? And it's Thursday, which for viewers of the Danielle Moodie show, you know that this is our end of the week because I believe in a 4-day work week. Just kidding. I still work on Fridays. Um, Friends, it has been brought to the attention of I guess the American media that Donald Trump lies. Uh Breaking news at 11. Evidently now, everyone is shocked that Donald Trump has come out and admitted, guess what? He absolutely supports Project 2025. And now everyone's like, but he told us he wouldn't. He told us he didn't know who even authored Project 2025. Okay, got it. So 10 years into Trumpism, mainstream corporate media is still playing fucking catch up. Or, as I like to say, they're just accomplices to the crimes being committed. Welcome to the Danielle Moodie Show, dear friends. It's been a hell of a week. Buckle up and let's get to today. So I've had a migraine all day, and I think that my body is just like getting to the point of, girl, just go lay down. Because keeping track, I got to tell you, of everything that is wrong is really, really difficult. And this week in particular, it's like just one shit show after another. But we begin today with the breaking news that guess who has now discovered Project 2025 when, we told you what Project 2025 was. What I realized, here's the thing. Project 2025 was written and published in 2023. I was talking about it on the new abnormal on the daily at the Daily Beast when it was published. Do you want to know when mainstream corporate media started to talk about Project 2025? They didn't start talking about it until like 6 months before the election in 2024. No one was doing major breakdowns of this 900-page book that told you agency by agency, issue by issue, what the Republican Party was planning. They had a directory of over 20,000 Republican vetted people, like a LinkedIn for hate, so that they did not have any issues or a revisiting of Donald Trump's first term, because his first term was a revolving clown car. It was a revolving door of fucking idiots. Everyone was in, and then they were out, and then they were on Dancing with the Stars. So for over a year, Democrats and the corporate mainstream media had access to this document. Why? Because Project 2025 was posted on the Heritage Foundation's website. It was a PDF, free. Anyone could open it, anyone could download it. It was not this secret dossier, like the one that they cooked up that was supposedly on Hunter Biden's laptop. No, that was not this. So you want to tell me Republicans put together a 900-page plan. They put it out for the world to see. And Democrats in that same time don't put together their own 900-page plan that if and when Donald Trump becomes president again, this is how we're going to fight back on this, on this, on this, on this, on this. I mean, seriously, it's like the fucking teacher saying, we're going to have an open book test. Bring the book with you, and you forget to go to the bookstore, you forget to go to the fucking library, and you're just sitting there like an ass. And it's like, here's an easy A. All you have to do is bring the book. And you don't do that. That is what Democrats and corporate mainstream media did when Project 2025 was released. And all Donald Trump had to do with 6 months to go until the election is be like, oh, well, the Heritage Foundation, that's a separate entity. I don't even know. I don't even know how to spell heritage. I don't even know what you're talking about. And then they put together Project 47, which was essentially the crystal light of Project 2025. It's like, oh, we'll just give you like the highlights. We'll take out the racism and the misogyny and like the real, like hateful, obvious shit. And we'll give you the light version. It is the biggest fucking misstep that Democrats took, that corporate mainstream media took. You had time to put together a strategic document to combat Project 2020. You had time to create a fucking war room with members of Congress and decide who was going to take charge of what. And what if the unthinkable happened? What were the movements? What were the actions that we were going to be taking? You had time. Most criminals, most, commanders in war don't provide their fucking maps and strategy to the enemy, to the opposition. Republicans did it because they knew that Democrats wouldn't do anything. They knew that Democrats would look at it and be like, he's never going to become president again. That's not going to happen. We have faith in the American people, faith that the American people will do the right thing. The American people believe whatever it is that they're fed on a regular basis. You tell them over and over again that masks are dangerous, even though we know it's life-saving, but you tell them over and over again during COVID that don't wear a mask, like it's your American right to die. And then they rip their masks off. You tell them over and over and over again that vaccines cause autism or people to be trans. And now vaccine rates are down in this country for the first time in like 30 years. So relying on the American people to just do the right thing, no, the American people do what they're told over and over again, whether or not that information is factual or not. So again, when I say, why are we here? How did we get here? And people are still fucking twirling their hair, trying to pontificate and come up with these big grand ideas as to why we're here. We're here because Republicans are evil and Democrats are stupid. We're here because Democrats didn't take Donald Trump seriously the first time and thought that you don't need to create a campaign or a narrative from jump, copy his own mannerisms and his own methods on social media. No, you were too highbrow for that. The American people are smart enough to know. The American people, on average, by the way, read at like a sixth grade level. Do you know? I saw a report the other day. I swear to God, Google it. That a lot of people in America are illiterate, right? Literacy rates down. TikTok viewership up. So if you're not finding the short, punchy way to package your messaging, even if you think that it's the right message, you're missing the fucking mark. You know why Zoran Mamdani is so popular right now in New York City? One, because his policies are right on the mark, but his policies are not new. Some of the initiatives that he's talking about, like free buses and things like that, that's new. But democratic socialism, that's old. But he's found a way to get people, reach people where they are. Did you see his ad the other day during The Bachelor? I don't watch The Bachelor, but I saw the ad on social media on his page. He did an incredible spoof holding the rose and basically saying, America, New York City, will you choose me? I choose you. It was brilliant. It was funny. And he knows that while it's a nationally syndicated show, that millions of people inside of New York City probably watching it. So the fact is that Democrats continue to think of this moment as if we're in some type of tennis match and all we have to do is just volley the ball back and forth. Except for the fact that, real people are being kidnapped, traumatized, abused, murdered, and disappeared. And the blood is on Republicans' hands as well as Democrats. See, Republicans don't give a shit. That shit entices them. But Democrats were actually supposed to give a fuck. But you realize more and more that they don't. And so, what happened? Donald Trump today, full hoods are off, right? I have a meeting today with Russ Vought. He, of Project 2025 fame, to determine which of the many Democrat agencies, most of which are political scam, he recommends to be cut, and whether or not those cuts will be temporary or permanent. I can't believe the radical left Democrats gave me this unprecedented opportunity. They are not stupid people, so maybe this is their way of wanting to quietly and quickly make America great again. First off, is there no one around him that can actually translate this into English that is grammatically correct and understood? No one? No one can take it away from little fat hands? So now Donald Trump is embracing Project 2025 after disavowing it during 2024 campaign. News at 11, water is wet and the sky is blue. Trump referenced Project 2025 Thursday. Yep. It became a political flashpoint during last year's presidential campaign because of its controversial outline for reshaping American life. Project 2025, never an official Trump platform, was built by some Trump allies and echoes moves from the early days of Trump's second presidency. Some of Trump's MAGA allies called Project 2025 the next term agenda for Trump's win. Because that's what it was. Like, I'm so outdone by the flaccid nature of both the Democrats and corporate mainstream media. It's like, this is why I say they're all accomplices to the murder of our democracy. Because again, these are Bond villains that tell you how they're going to commit the crime up front. So they gave you a year head start, and now 8 months into the administration with the project, by the way, folks, let me just show you, 48% done. So Donald Trump wants you to believe that, oh, now he's going to tackle Project 2025. Bitch, you've been doing it. And anybody that had two eyes and ears and had any common sense to be following what was happening and what would happen, it's already halfway done. Folks, go onto your Google and you can put in Project 2025 tracker. The tracker literally breaks down the sections and will tell you what they proposed and how far along they are. Doge was a major part of that. Firing and gutting out and hollowing out our agencies was a part of that. Now they are moving into, wait for it, the evangelical Christian side of this Christo-fascist takeover. Oh, yeah. Folks just believe that, oh, it was all about the undocumented. It was all about the blacks, and I'm not black. It was all about the trans folks. I don't like them, and I don't really understand them either. No. This is The Handmaid's Tale and Civil War brought to life. Jumping off of your television screens and onto your front porch. This is doing away with birth control, which is up next from your health secretary, RFK Jr., because they're about to say that birth control is abortion and that anybody that uses birth control is a criminal and should go to jail, right? Or worse, just be murdered. Okay? This is about putting prayer and Bibles back in school, which, by the way, they already started to do in Oklahoma and in Louisiana with the 10 Commandments. This is about doing away with every part of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that includes women. So this is about not just changing some policies. This is about radically transforming America into a Christo-fascist, white nationalist country. This is about getting rid of, by any means necessary, those that don't fit the bill and those that won't follow. They want also Department of Education completely shut down. They want homeschooling, and they want it religious based. They want your kids, if they are going to go to school, they're only going to learn about, the teachings of Jesus Christ as they believe it, and then their gendered roles. They are going to be moving towards segregation. I know that folks are like, this is crazy, this is insane, this will never happen. And I'm like, folks, let me just go back and pull it up. It's 48% done. And you listen to this shit And I wish I was lying. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I wish I was being hyperbolic. I had somebody tell me today, you know, Danielle, you've been anxious for like 5 years. And I'm like, as a way to dismiss things that I was saying. And I'm saying to myself, why the fuck haven't you been anxious for 5 years? I mean, we've lived through a global health pandemic. We've lived through the first Trump term. We've lived through recession. We've lived through now the rise of fascism. So I'm sorry. I don't have the ability to just disassociate and pretend that all of this isn't happening because unlike I guess a majority of the American population, I actually like reading and knowing what's happening and paying attention. Not because I want to marinate in misery, but because guess what? I don't want to be caught by surprise. I don't want to be at the fucking bagel store when the tanks are rolling down the street. It is just wild to me that people still in this good goddamn day, 8 months into this shit, are still like, he can't do that. What is it gonna take? Like, when is logic gonna finally fucking hit? Unclear. But I'll tell you this. It's not for lack of trying, you know? Here's Representative Madeline Dean, who essentially corners Mike Johnson following Tuesday's absolute batshit meeting with the military top brass. And just, I mean, listen, she says, folks, and I just like, because Chris Hayes posted this on his show, and it's just, I mean, yeah, take a listen.
The president is unhinged. He is unwell. What are you doing?
A lot of folks on your side are too. I don't control.
Oh my God, please. That performance in front of the generals, that
I didn't see it.
is so dangerous. You know I serve on foreign affairs and appropriations. This is a collision of those two things. Our allies are looking elsewhere. Our enemies are laughing.
I just left
You
the
have a
speaker's
president
side.
who is you have a president who is unwell.
Here is this. I mean, first off, you didn't see it? Like, you didn't see it is Mike Johnson's like go-to response for everything. You know what I know he sees? The fucking porn on his phone that he has his son check, you know, to make sure he's not watching too much of it. So maybe he can't actually see things on his phone because the memory isn't enough for the amount of fucking porn that he has on his phone. These are the same motherfuckers that want to talk about religiosity and how to make America great again. I digress. The point is, I am so tired of Mike Johnson and others saying I didn't see it because I'm like, would you like me to pull it up for you? Here it is. Take a moment. Now you tell me which one of the Democrats on our side of the aisle is as unhinged as this motherfucker. Please point to them. Which one? Which one? You mean unhinged as in like trying to alert the American people to the fact that each and every single day you are losing your civil liberties and your civil rights? You mean unhinged as in the fact that they're not going to sit around and allow the American people to be fucking gaslit by you motherfuckers that want to say, oh, I don't know, I didn't see nothing, don't say nothing, didn't hear nothing? I swear to you, you know, it's like, and then you have Cancun Cruise. Take a listen to him and what he's talking about and how they are trying. Like, folks, when I tell you how they are trying to spin this fucking shutdown as if it is anything other than their government, the government that they took over with a coup. But listen to Ted Cruz and how he's trying to, again, spin this shit.
Chuck Schumer and the Democrats force a shutdown, which they now have, that President Trump is going to use that.
Hold 1 second, because my videos, of course, do not want to play right now. Let's try that again.
Schumer and the Democrats force a shutdown, which they now have, that President Trump is going to use that as an opportunity not to tell people you're furloughed for a few days, but instead to send pink slips and to get rid of left-wing bureaucrats who are imposing left-wing priorities that are contrary to President Trump's priorities. I think that is fantastic, and what it's going to do is it's going to cause Democrats in Congress to scream and weep and gnash their teeth. I cannot wait for the next Democrat lunch when they start screaming at each other, when they...
This is the man who, by the way, most recently at a committee hearing, yelled out with his time for people to stop attacking pedophiles. Didn't catch himself in the midst of it or after he said it. But when media followed up with his staff and said, what the fuck did he mean by stop attacking pedophiles? And they're like, oh, you guys are making something out of nothing. He just mixed up words and, he just threw in a word that was there. Freudian slip much? Yeah, let's stop attacking pedophiles, Ted. We wouldn't want to hurt your daddy's feelings. Oh my God. Folks, every day. So Chris Cuomo, who is a tool, used to like him, became an utter tool. And so he has on Scott Turner, which, am I the only one that didn't know that Donald Trump had somebody black in his cabinet? I think that I may have been the only one. And by black, I just mean like he has the complexion. But anyway, Scott Turner, who's the Secretary of HUD, went on Cuomo's show. And Cuomo, bless his heart, actually asked like real questions and like did real follow-up. It was wild. I didn't know he had it in him.
I'm not used to seeing naked political propaganda on a government website. Are you worried about this violating the Hatch Act?
No, sir, we're not worried at all. And this is not about propaganda, Chris. This is just about letting the American people know what's going on. But we really need to be talking about how this government shutdown impacts the American people.
I want to do that, but this is part of the impact, right? I mean, when you're saying the radical left is shutting it down and they're doing it for $1.5 trillion for illegals, that's not true, Secretary Turner. That's why I'm bringing it up, because it's propaganda.
Well, you know what, though, Chris, you look at this, and I've heard all the cries and the outcry and people saying this is propaganda, that it's a violation of the Hatch Act. To me, the Democrats and the far left are using this as a distraction to really deflect from what's really important here, and that's how it's been irresponsible actions on the Hill, and American people are being impacted greatly by this government shutdown. That's what we really need to be talking about.
I agree. I'm sure we also both agree two wrongs don't make a right.
I mean, I guess a broken clock can be right twice a day, with Chris Cuomo being like, didn't love seeing naked propaganda on the government's website. And I'm just like, well, I don't know, Chris, if you've noticed the White House's Twitter account or any of the fucking AI images of Donald Trump that they have put out on the official whitehouse.gov page. This is just par for the course. But bravo, from waking up from your, MAGA-fied slumber to realize that they're a bunch of fucking fascists and propagandists, I guess. And then there's Bobblehead Barbie. And I'm not gonna torture you with listening to her. But a reporter today asked, how many federal workers do you plan to fire during the shutdown? Bobblehead Barbie. It's likely going to be in the thousands. Russ Vaught is already drafting the list. And just to put a finer point on it, Brian Allen says, this isn't a budget fight. It's a purge. A MAGA engineered shutdown used as cover to gut the federal workforce and dismantle civil service protections. Do you know why Brian Allen knows that? Because that was also written in Project 2025. The government shutdown and their plan to how to weaponize a government shutdown was in Project 2025. So, again, why are Democrats acting like they didn't know that this was coming? Why, again, are they now in this moment scrambling to push back on the talking points that every single Republican representative is going on TV and spewing? And what did I say earlier about the American people? They will believe what they hear over and over again. It doesn't matter whether or not it's the truth. And if you knew that this was coming, which you should have, because it was written down, you should have gotten out front. But once again, Democrats seem to love fighting on their backs. This is why I've had a martini this week, and this is why I will have another one, because I've run out of cans this week. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know when you get to the level of just like you feel like you are underwater in fuckery and you cannot breathe? That is how I feel this week. And it's like, why this week of all weeks? Because I really think that when we look back in time, well, for those that are still around and able to look back in time, and if there is a thing called history and reflection, that American history will show you that that meeting with the generals and the admirals was the point of escalation for fascist America. That was I think it broke my psyche this week, because I mean, to watch it, to see it, to listen to Donald Trump, to listen to that like keg stand of a man, Hegseth, speak to our generals with their misogyny and their unabashed racism. It was the breaking point. I think that it was the final straw. And so it's like you look at that, and again, all of this, where was it? Was it hiding under a bed? Was it in a closet? Was it on Hunter Biden's laptop? Was it hidden in Hillary Clinton's emails? No. It was right there, front and center, on the Heritage Foundation's website in a PDF. You didn't even have to purchase it. But Democrats still reacting instead of acting. It's amazing. So I'm going to play something for you, and I know, hold your breath, because it's hard. It's hard to listen to JD Vance, and I apologize, but I think that, again, it's really important to know that everyone is out on their talking points, on their lying, and he's doing it with the White House right behind him in the press room.
If you're an American citizen, you've been to a hospital in the last few years, you probably noticed that wait times are especially large, and very often somebody who's there in the emergency room waiting is an illegal alien, very often a person who can't even speak English. Why do those people get health care benefits at hospitals paid for by American citizens? The answer is a decision made by the Biden administration that the Trump administration, working with congressional Republicans, undid. We turned off that money spigot to health care funding for illegal aliens. The Democrats, in their legislative text, want to turn it back on.
There are a lot of issues there, Jake. So first of all, hospitals have been required for decades under a law signed by Republican President Ronald Reagan to treat undocumented immigrants and anyone else who shows up in the ER with an acute condition, regardless of their ability to pay, regardless of their legal status. This was not a Joe Biden decision. Secondly, the federal money for this emergency care goes to hospitals to help them cover the cost of the ER visit, sometimes emergency care that stems out of that visit. It is not comprehensive health care for undocumented people. Third, Jake, the Trump law reduced this federal funding to hospitals. It did not eliminate it. And fourth, and I think this is the biggest point, Democrats pushed to reverse this Trump move and give the hospitals back the old level of reimbursement, would not give extra services or money to undocumented people. They would get the same emergency care hospitals have been required for decades to give them. Hospitals would just get more help, the old level of help, in covering the cost of that treatment.
Here's what should have been said from the jump. Donald Trump is going to take away your health care. Donald Trump, in Project 2025, which he is aligned with, outlines completely that they are going to gut Medicaid and Medicare, which millions of Americans are on. Guess who's never been on Medicaid and Medicare? Undocumented people. Guess who pays into the tax system unlike Donald Trump? Undocumented people. But guess who still can't get or buy health insurance? Undocumented people. So why did the government shutdown happen? Because the Democrats are trying to stop Trump from taking away your health care. Those should have been the talking points from well before the government shut down. Because guess what? Democrats knew it was fucking coming. Why? Because it was in Project 2025 and it gives Donald Trump the unfettered access to fire everyone and finish the hit job that Doge started. Like, it's so painful because we're not working with like criminal masterminds. Do you remember the show Pinky and the Brain? It's a government full of pinkies. Like, what should we do today, Brain? I guess we should try and take over the world. Like, it is a government filled with pinkies. And there is no fucking brain. So how is it again that we can't figure out how to dismantle it when it's literally put together with a prayer and some fucking gum? You can tell that I'm angry today. Here is this motherfucker again. Mike Johnson, just on a lie spree. I don't even know why people have him on TV. I'm not quite sure because he just goes on there with his mealy mouth expression. I've never seen a face I've wanted to punch more. I'm not a violent person and I wouldn't, but in all honesty, is his face not punchable? And every fucking time you see it, every time you hear it, I'm just like, yuck.
Sombreros on the internet. We should be talking about the American people's needs.
It is serious business. We've given it extensive coverage today, and we'll continue covering it tomorrow. One additional topic I do want to get your answer on is Representative Grijalva, who won a special election last week in Arizona. She's yet to be sworn in. I know you're not in session, but you've sworn in Republicans out of session. Why not her? Does it have anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, the House is not on the floor doing business this week, but we will do it immediately early next week. As soon as everyone returns to town, we have to have everybody here, and we'll swear her in. I congratulate her on her win. She's replacing her father, who had a long history here, and she'll be a productive member of Congress. We look forward to that.
Is that why you lock the doors? Because like what I fail to understand, right? When these people are on and you know what lies they're going to tell because they tell the same lies over and over again, why you don't have follow-up questions? Then why did you lock the doors to the House floor when votes were supposed to happen on on Wednesday? She won the election last week, so I'm confused. If you say that you're congratulating her and you believe that she will be a productive member of Congress, then why were the doors locked? And why did no Republicans show up for work before the government shutdown even happened? Government shutdown happened at midnight on Wednesday. And just ask the fucking follow-up. It's like they're allergic to follow-up questions. I don't get it. I don't get it. And it's because, like, again, folks, corporate mainstream media, they're addicted to access. They want access, right? They want these people on the air, but I can't for the life of me figure out why. So you can be complicit in the lies that they tell? Because it's not as if you're having them on the air to push back or to break down their lies or to educate the American people. No, that's not what you're doing. So you say, but we need access, but the access is to what? They don't tell the truth. I swear to God, it is just still a fucking shock. And the person who I appreciate, and this is not, and I apologize, it's not the best quality video, but I thought that it was important for you all to hear, because Lawrence O'Donnell, just like, this week after that fucking disgusting presentation in front of our military, he said this.
President of the United States, in his public appearance today, proved that he is mentally incapable and emotionally incapable of fulfilling his constitutional duties as President of the United States. In other words, there is no President of the United States as we knew it. There is no functioning intelligence, no functioning judgment mechanism within the mind of the current holder of the title, President of the United States. And that person is also the holder of the nuclear codes that could destroy the planet in seconds. And he is, much to the horror of the commanding officers of the American military who listened to him today, the commander-in-chief of the most powerful military in the history of the world. Much of the news media made the mistake of believing that all of the American commanding generals and admirals were being summoned to Quantico, Virginia, to listen to the small man of small experience who is currently the Secretary of Defense. That was obviously a fraudulent reason for demanding that all the generals and admirals fly from all over the world, leaving their command posts, to listen to a speech. It was obviously always just a setup for Donald Trump to harangue that audience with what turned out to be stream of consciousness madness, complete with hallucinations and an endless stream of pathological lies. A group of officers who earned their jobs in ways that Donald Trump never could, had to sit there and listen to a clown who stood before them in what appears to be a homemade brew of orange makeup slathered all over his face because he thinks it makes him look better. And I guess maybe we should accept Donald Trump's judgment about that one thing, that the madman orange makeup he slathers on himself makes him look better. Maybe it does. We don't know. Maybe the actual sight of the actual color of his 79-year-old skin is much worse than the orange clown confection that he chooses, but we don't know. Or maybe the orange junk on his face is yet another proof that the man has no capacity to make a judgment about anything, including the way he looks. Never mind nuclear weapons.
God damn. Okay? That is what, my friends, we call a fucking read. Okay? It was exquisite. Like, my good God. Does he have the judgment? Is what he is talking about. The judgment. And if he looks in the mirror and thinks that he looks good, how can we trust his judgment with the nuclear codes? It seems petty and small, folks, but my God, it shows you just how clearly disoriented and disillusioned Donald Trump is. Do you know what I believe? I believe that when Donald Trump looks in the mirror, I believe that he sees those AI images. That's how fucking far gone he is. I think that he sees the AI images of him bare chested with muscles, looking like Rambo, holding an AR-14, riding the American Eagle. I honestly believe that that's what he sees. His perception of reality has been so fucked since the beginning. You can't live in that kind of crazy ass family structure, right? Where everything is done for you, everything is protected from you, but you are treated like absolute ass. And then you make up this alternative universe in your mind. And because of how much money you have and the fame, people just continue to build out the architecture for you and protect you from reality. So I'm certain maybe there are no mirrors around Donald Trump, but even if they are, I guarantee you they're probably papered over with image of him looking like this big, strong, valiant king. Yeah, it's psychopathy. It's psychopathy mixed up with sociopathy, mixed up with I don't even know fucking what. But I know that Lawrence O'Donnell literally just said every goddamn thing that we have all been thinking forever. And so here's where we are. This is where we are, folks. New York Times poll comes out, the Times Siena poll. Most voters think America's divisions cannot be overcome. That we have literally arrived at a place. The yellowish line, orangish line is too politically divided, 64%. Only 33% of those polled believe that we can still address the nation's problems. What does that tell you? Americans have markedly less faith in the ability of the country's political system to solve problems that they had 5 years ago, with a large majority now believing that the country is incapable of overcoming its deep divisions. Even in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, when the country was fighting over mask mandates and forced to reckon with questions about racial inequality, a majority of voters still agreed that the country was capable of solving its political problems. Today, just 33% of voters feel the same. The steep rise in pessimism reflects a striking shift in the public's perceptions about what ails the country. After the economy, the poll found that Americans were most likely to point to problems in the political culture as the most urgent. They named polarization and the state of democracy more often than immigration, inflation, or crime. How do you think that happened? Because for 10 years, 10 years, Donald Trump has gone on a diatribe that has been fed to us through radio, through TV, through podcasts, on social media, ripping this country apart. Fox News, with its tens of millions of viewers, have been the biggest amplifier. And so now we've gotten to a place where a majority of those polled believe that, well, this shit is just too far gone. Do you know what fascism needs in order to survive? Hopelessness, pessimism, fear. That's its food. And so, it is, we're not here by accident. So don't let these people continue to tell you that they don't understand how we got here. Because I literally just told you. If there is any good news to have, and there just really isn't any, and I will tell you stories that I didn't cover that I will pick up on tomorrow. What happened in Chicago overnight? Do y'all know what happened in Chicago? The South Shore Apartments. That is a heavily Black area and community. Well, in the middle of the night around 10 o'clock, residents thought that the building was shaking. And that's because hundreds of ICE agents ransacked the apartment building, zip tying children, ransacking apartments, breaking windows and furniture, looking for some mythical Venezuelan group. Turned up nothing. But they sure as hell fucked up the apartments, traumatized a whole bunch of Black American citizens and children. This is for the folks, I tell you this, for those that think that, well, I'll just stay inside, I'll be okay. Those were citizens. They didn't give a fuck. And they took some of them, the brown ones, they put in one van. The Black ones, they put in another. And do you know what they said to them? Hope you don't have any warrants. Hope you don't have anything, because if you do, we're not cutting you loose. So if you had a warrant for like unpaid parking tickets, that's worthy of ICE detention or deportation. This is what they are going to be doing everywhere soon. And for those that think they have the complexion for the protection, oh, your whiteness is going to save you, I don't got to worry about it. You just wait. Your time soon come. In some ending goodish news, according to a New York Times article, Democrats pull away from AIPAC, reflecting a broader shift. A quiet retreat by Democrats from the preeminent pro-Israel lobbying group is the latest evidence of a realignment underway in Congress on Israel. And look who they use to signify the shift. Oh, AIPAC Shakur, Hakeem Jeffries. For 17 years, Representative Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat of New York and the minority leader, has been taking polite meetings with J Street, the center left lobbying group that promotes a two-state solution in the Middle East. But in all of those years of relationship building, Mr. Jeffries never sought the group's endorsement. He was more closely associated with AIPAC, the hard-line pro-Israel lobbying organization that has long supported him financially, been his sugar daddy, and has in the past discouraged lawmakers it backs from aligning themselves formally with a group that holds a different stance on Israel. And just so you know, AIPAC has a ton of money, like tons of money. Like Jeffries takes about close to $1 million. Schumer takes millions of dollars, right? And the list goes on and on from there. That changed last month. Looky here. When Mr. Jeffries, for the first time, was open to and accepted J Street's official support. It was a coup for J Street, which is highly critical of the current Israeli government and seeking to establish itself as the mainstream voice about Israel on Capitol Hill. J Street's endorsement of Mr. Jeffries attracted little attention on Capitol Hill, where the group already backs well over half of Democratic members of Congress and the rest of the House of Democratic leadership. With American support for the Israeli government's management of the conflict in Gaza undergoing a seismic reversal and Democratic voters' support for the Jewish state dropping off steeply, AIPAC is becoming an increasingly toxic brand for some Democrats on Capitol Hill. It is the latest evidence of a realignment underway in Congress on Israel, as Democratic lawmakers turn away from a decades-old bipartisan consensus on Capitol Hill around offering unconditional support for the Jewish state. That's a little bit of good news. The awful news is that it took an act of genocide to get Hakeem Jeffries and other Democrats off of the AIPAC tit. This is why pressure works. This is why it matters that folks stay informed and don't become disassociated ostriches that choose to bury your heads in the sand because, the world is just too hard. This is what it means to use your voice and pressure representatives into turning an organization that was a stalwart on Capitol Hill into a toxic brand. You see, these things are possible to do. Those that continue to say that things are impossible are those that are weak and never want to try and want to use, right, their idea of impossible as their alibi for inaction. Things are shitty, folks. I'm not here to sugarcoat it, and you certainly don't tune into me for no sugar to go down with your medicine. I bring it to you straight. And the reason is because I want you all to be as informed as possible. I want you all to be incensed, but feel powerful in your ability to take action still, even when things feel dark, even when it feels like nothing will be done. Because us collectively taking action is what forces this type of fucking change. So particularly on days and weeks where it feels like you can't breathe and the walls feel like they are closing in, know in your heart that change is always possible because it is inevitable. Nothing stays the same. But how it changes is up to us. That is it for me today, dear friends, on the Danielle Moodie Show. I want to give special thanks and shout out to all of you who have provided super stickers and super thanks today. Be best, Ernst, as always, Design Chick, as always, Rebecca, Evelyn, MW, Trash Panda, as always, Corinna, Amanda, Jimmy, PJ. My God, thank you so incredibly much. You always come in with these big, brilliant donations, and I cannot thank you enough. E. Schwartz, Dorothy, Ernst again, Beans, Jude, Susan, our fabulous moderator, as always, Eternal Energy, and Alex. Thank you all so incredibly much for your generosity. It goes a long way. This is independent media built from the ground up. I work and fight for every single subscriber that we have so far on this channel. And I hope that you will continue to like, comment, and share this show with everyone and anyone. Let's continue to spread the world, spread it in the world, and expand damnation. Programming note for tomorrow. Let me ask you all real quick. Democracy-ish is off tomorrow because Waj is traveling, because as we know, the man never takes a day off, and he's always double booked and triple booked. So he is traveling. So Democracy-ish is not going to happen at noon. I was thinking about going live at noon, just doing like a straight to camera, just chatting with you guys about what's happening. Tell me if you would like that, or if you're just like, nah, I'm good. If Democracy-ish isn't here, then, you know, you don't want to show. But if you would like a live show tomorrow at noon with just me, do let me know in the chat and in the comment section after watching this, if you're not watching live. And so if I see enough yeses and hell yeses, then I will go live tomorrow at noon. So keep your eyes out. All right, dear friends, as always, power to the people, and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane, and in these extraordinarily dangerous times, dear friends, do stay safe. All right. I see everyone has said yes. So I will be live tomorrow at noon. Tune in for a special edition of the Danielle Moodie Show, dear friends. Until then, stay safe, take care of yourselves and each other. Be well.